Saudi raids kill 5 citizens in Sa'da and Hajjah. Heavy bombing on many districts of Tai's government raids. International organizations warn of targeting Hodeidah port. Good evening and welcome to Yemen Today's News. I'm Ali Nasser al-Khamri. Saudi military aircraft killed 3 citizens and injured many others by targeting their farm in Hajjah governorate. Local sources reported that the Saudi warplanes targeted Al-Hajjaji farm in Abs district, killing 3 farmers and injuring many others. It should be noted that Saudi warplanes launched at least 13 airstrikes on Harad and Midi bordering districts. 2 civilians have been killed and another was injured by Saudi airstrikes on Baqam district in Sa'da northern governorate. Our correspondent there confirmed that the Saudi warplanes launched a strike on a local farm in Mahdeida area of Baqam, causing death to 2 citizens and serious wounds to others. Earlier, the Saudi air fighters targeted Al-Tahir district north of Sa'da with 5 raids. The Saudi jet fighters re-attacked Tai's governorate with heavy airstrikes. The enemy's fighters targeted Al-Amri and Hawzan area in Dubab Western District. A local source confirmed that 3 citizens have been injured in several raids on Al-Rahda Khudair Directorate, 2 raids on Yakhtal area, and 6 raids on the public road in Al-Hamili region of Mocha Directorate. The new wave of airstrikes comes hours after targeting the same areas with series of airstrikes. Foreign Affairs Minister Hisham Sharaf met in Sana'a with World Food Programme resident representative in Yemen, Stephen Anderson. The meeting dealt with the various current activities of the program in our country and ways to facilitate its functions in order to strengthen and expand its activities towards the Yemeni people, especially with the escalation of humanitarian needs by the brutal aggression. In the meeting, the foreign ministers say that the Geneva conference outcomes expected to consider stopping the aggression and lifting the siege as a priority to alleviate the suffering in Yemen before entering into the subject of financial pledges, especially since the humanitarian disaster in Yemen is due to the aggression and the unjust siege. For his part, the resident representative of the World Food Programme stressed the commitment of the program to its humanitarian tasks and its keenness to fulfill its responsibilities in light of the serious escalation of the humanitarian needs of Yemeni citizens, stressing the needs to secure the port of Hodeidah any attacks by the coalition because of its importance to Yemeni citizens as the main passage for the humanitarian aid. International organizations have warned of any harm or damage to the infrastructure of Hodeidah port that would deteriorate the humanitarian situation in Yemen, saying that there is already lack of food security in all over the country because of the war. Here is a report.
The humanitarian situation in Yemen is deteriorating and food security has reached a dangerous stage according to the warnings of 3 international organizations. The Food and Agriculture Organization FAO, the World Food Programme and UNICEF warned in a statement that war and aggression on Yemen have had devastating effects on food security and livelihoods. The results of the classification analysis of the food security issued by the 3 organizations also warned of the serious consequences of any further damages to the infrastructure upon the port city of Al-Hodeidah, and said 20 of 22 governorates in Yemen are in the emergency and crisis phase of food insecurity, and more than 2/3 of Yemeni's population are at risk of hunger and urgently need assistance to save and maintain their lives. The results of the analysis also showed that about 70 million people, equivalent to 60% of Yemeni's total population, are food insecure and require urgent humanitarian assistance to protect livelihoods. And noting that the import of commercial and humanitarian food to Yemen will be severely affected if the infrastructure of Al Hodeidah port is damaged by more Saudi air raids, and the port will witness a sharp and sudden deterioration that will reduce the volume of imports significantly. The results also addressed the prevalence of acute and comprehensive malnutrition, which exceeds the WHO emergency signs, estimated at 50% in a number of Yemeni provinces. The results showed that the economic situation of 80% of families in Yemen is currently worse than in the pre-war period, mainly due to the public budget defect, which led to the payment delaying of government employees. According to the organization, the decline in domestic production, the disruption of the commercial and humanitarian import access, the increase in food and fuel prices, the spread of unemployment, the collapse of public service and social safety nets all contribute to deteriorating food security conditions in Yemen.
The brutal Saudi aggression on Yemen for more than 2 years did not only waste lives, but also destroy the country infrastructure, and water sector did not survive from the catastrophic results of such aggression. Here is a report.
The Saudi aggression collected in its war and siege the destruction of infrastructure, which lack of valid drinking water is one of the main problems which badly affected millions of Yemeni people as a result of the unjust Saudi war on infrastructure in Yemen. Several humanitarian organizations declared that more than 16 million persons can get valid drinking water because of the systematic Saudi airstrikes on water resources, which provide the Yemeni people with adequate quantities of pure waters. What you see now, due to the barbaric Saudi aggression which targeted the water networks, Saudi-led coalition destroyed everything in our infrastructure, which the destruction of water network is one of the catastrophic sides affect our life. We send our message to the humanitarian organization to reconsider in its outraged silence. We have nothing to drink. There is no valid drinking water. Saudi aggression destroyed the water networks, which lead to lack the pure water. Many humanitarian organizations such as the International Oxfam pointed out in its report that 2/3 of Yemeni people are suffering of acute shortage of pure water, which obliged them to drink invalid water, in which led to widespread of epidemics such as cholera and malaria as a result of Saudi airstrikes on water networks. As well as the humanitarian organization clarified that Yemen live a catastrophic situation, and worsening of this situation increases day by day as a result of unjust war in Yemen. In spite of all what happens of crime and violation in Yemen human rights, we find the international community insists on to turn a blind eye on such atrocities, which represents a green light to Saudi-led coalition to continue its war and siege on 30 million people.
Ministry of Public Health and Population issued a statement in which the ministry called on international and humanitarian organizations to shoulder the moral responsibilities toward the targeting of paramedics and workers in the health sector by Saudi aggression and disrupt their vital and humanitarian role. The statement also called on the United Nations and World Bank to make pressure to return the central bank to Sana'a and pay the salaries of all employees of the country, including more than 30,000 from the health sector, which have been suspended for 8 months. The ministry has appreciated the efforts of Yemeni workers in general, and especially those who work in health sector, who perform their duties in a very difficult conditions experienced by the country as a result of the brutal aggression that destroyed the infrastructure and targeted workers while performing their jobs. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel visited the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, calling for political solution to the war in Yemen. More about her visits in this report.
Observers of political process in Yemen considered Angela Merkel's visit to Jeddah a surprising contradiction. She called on Saudi Arabia and its alliance to stop the airstrikes on Yemen, while the two defense ministers of Germany and Saudi Arabia signed an agreement to train members of Saudi army in military German institutions. Sarah Wagenknecht, German left party politician, strongly criticized the agreement. She said it is completely irresponsible to train Saudi Arabia soldiers who lead brutal war in Yemen, causing tens of thousands of civilians killed and hundreds of thousands threatened by death out of starvation. Merkel said after her arrival in the United Arab Emirates that the war in Yemen could not be resolved militarily. Germany planned to work on diplomatic means for a peaceful solution to the war in Yemen, and Berlin offered to support UN peace process in Yemen. She discussed before her visit to Abu Dhabi and Riyadh with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres ahead of Merkel's G20 summit in Hamburg in July. During her tour, the German Chancellor held consultations with Saudi King Salman Abdulaziz on the developments in the region and the promotion of economic activity between the two countries. While arms deals with Saudi Arabia have been controversial in Germany for many years, Merkel stressed that Germany believed in a UN process to reach a diplomatic solution that would end the conflict and protect more people from living in misery in Yemen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, back to today's headlines. Saudi raids kill 5 citizens in Sa'da and Hajjah. Heavy bombing on many districts of Tai's governorate. International organizations warn of targeting Hodeidah port. Thanks for watching and goodbye.